Awesome,
All,
awesome.
all right, welcome everyone to Culture X Conversations. This is co-hosted by myself, Anuroop Kumar, and my co-host Lionel Ball. Today we have a truly inspiring guest with Stephanie Franklin. She's the visionary founder and CEO of Fly Wines, woman-owned wine club that curates small batch artisanal wines and especially from underrepresented regions. Over a decade of experience in marketing, advertising, and tech, pivoted during the pandemic, following some personal loss and so forth, but then has built this incredible brand and with such a great vision. She's a proud innovator, building authentic, story driven, direct to consumer wine brand. And I want to go ahead and thank you, Stephanie, for joining us today.
Thank you guys. Thank you for that great intro and having me.
Absolutely. No, we're excited to have you. So just want to kick it off. I know we've been in contact for some time now. You're one of my Monday Movers and Shaker series highlights, and we're excited to now have this conversation. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and the brand and where you're at now.
Well, I think you guys pretty much summed it up quite well. I have my name. I've worked in ad tech, martech space for about 15 years. It was during a pandemic where I suffered the loss of my mom. I wanted to pivot anyway before that happened. I was just kind of over the cycle of corporate America. I really was trying to find a way out. And it was a catalyst because my mom passed away, I felt like quite young. And I was like, well, I'm like, what's the biggest risk I can take? It may sound morbid. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die anyway. There's no way around that.
Mm.
So what am I doing during this time unless I'm just gonna sit with a ton of regrets before I actually do pass away? And I do admit, I tell people all the time, my risks are quite low. I do not have any kids. I have a dog to feed. And so,
Right.
I don't have the higher level of risk as everyone as well. So I said, why not? And I took a chance. And that chance actually happened unexpectedly. I didn't know I was going to do wine. I lived abroad for some time, and that was my first introduction into wine, and I enjoyed it. And then I met my good friend who was our head sommelier, Giuliano, and I really enjoyed him telling me more about wine. And I had a pivotal moment as I was sitting and having wine with a friend. And we were just sitting after my mom passed away, and we had some wine, and it was horrible. And that was an aha moment for me. And I was like, I'm gonna start a wine company. And I'll never forget, she looked at me like, what?
Are you kidding me? Are you serious?
Yes, and I am one of those people to where I do pay attention to those opportunities and those aha moments. It's not the first time it's happened to me in my life. And it was something that just kept nagging at me. And I told my good friend Giuliano, I said, I'm gonna start a wine company. He said, you know what, you should call it Fly Wines. Yeah, actually, that sounds great. I have a logo for it. Okay,
Look
let's
at that.
see what happens. And again, I was at the moment in my life to where I was like, what is the worst that can happen? I don't take this risk. I'll end up where I started, which is back in the ad tech and the martech space. Is that the worst thing in the world? No, but I will feel much more horrible leaving this earth knowing I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm just trying
Mm.
to reduce the shoulda, coulda, wouldas as much as possible.
No, thank you so much for level setting with us like that. And I would be remiss, not to, just say sorry for your loss. And I can't imagine, what that's like, but you really helped us to appreciate that, hey, this is a reality. And so having that experience, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna go for it, right? So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing with us. you know, with that on my mind, you brought that up. I'm thinking about that. Okay, okay, what do I got to lose? What's really at risk here if I don't go for it, as you put it? And with that in mind, and you went into, wine, and I don't know too many people that look like us that's in that space. And when I say like us, I mean Black women, right? Underrepresented, underestimate, all these different things. So when you walk into a room, black, woman, innovator. What's the first assumption people make about you, and how do you shatter it?
Sure about what assumption they make because there is kind of on their end for them to make that assumption, but I can focus on maybe what I feel intuitively is I walk into a room and is it's not anything to where you feel as though there's apprehension. It's just kind of like, oh, my particular part of the wine industry. So don't get me wrong, less than 1% of the wine industry is minorities. But there's an even smaller percentage that are importers and distributors like us. Now that's where the aha comes in because they're used to seeing now, okay, oh, you're in the wine industry, but people automatically assume that you're actually just making the wine or you're focusing on that. And it's like, no, we're importer distributors as well. And it's like, oh, then that's when you see the eyes light up. Oh, yeah, I guess because that's a ground field that we don't play on in at all. And I think that's where there's a lot of shattering the glass ceilings that need to take place. And it's not seen as a bad thing, but it's just more of seeing like, oh, shock, because they, they don't hear a lot of us and that playing in this particular part of the wine industry.
Thank you. Very, very, very nice. I mean, you got me thinking so many thoughts, and I need to get even more educated in terms of who are the players and how many of us are actually, like to say, on playing in the field, so to speak. And Roop, any thoughts you have?
No, absolutely. The thought I was having was, again, I'm thinking about expertise, right? The fact that you have all those years of expertise behind you, understanding business, understanding the moving parts. In terms of, it's very interesting you pointed out that aspect of that sort of gap that's there, right? Like it's not even just the wine aspect of, oh, we're just going to make our own wines, but understanding the business to that extent, where it's a matter of like, no, we're going to import and distribute. In addition to that, what other gaps did you find or did you see in that wine market, right? When you think about everything from identity, storytelling, representation, right? You gave a great example about the back end side of business, right? Where that was even less of a level playing field. I'd love to get some ideas of when you looked at the wine industry and your approach and so forth. What were some of the gaps that you had?
The gaps that I found and discovered along the way, because we originally had this idea, we have a tasting box. People can go to our website and see that we have a tasting box. But I saw the gap of those independent and underrepresented wineries. So most of the wines that you get are from certain regions. And I said, I want to explore some other regions. And I'm a big traveler. I love cultures and I love understanding different cultures and experiencing that. So I found that there was a huge gap in maybe people understanding, hey, Turkish, they have Turkish wines? Yes, they're Turkish wines. Oh, they're Moroccan wines? Yes, they're Moroccan wines. So it's one of those I found that the main gap was looking into those underrepresented regions and showcasing those quite more than the ones that are pretty well known. So even within our tasting box, we took that approach. We partnered with for winery in Gilroy. Most of the wines that people think about and understand are just Napa and Sonoma because they spearheaded the wine industry in the United States. Now there's so many others now. Paso Robles is definitely coming up, pretty much sure in, but it's like Gilroy. Gilroy, yes, there are wineries in Gilroy.
Thank you so much for sharing. Even when you mention it, right? It's like when you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, of course that makes sense. But then when you about wines, just like okay, how I've been conditioned, or even when I'm going to restaurants looking at those menus, Turkish or Moroccan wines aren't the first thing that I think of. And if I were to probably see it, I'd be like, that is interesting. I haven't actually had a Turkish wine and so forth. So, no, that's a great way. And I think that comes from that experience and that travel.
Exactly. So understanding and that travel, embracing those different cultures and understanding who are the key players within the wine industry within those cultures. So even Moroccan wines within itself is always foreigners because Moroccan people do not actually drink, but they're able to farm the land. So most of the farming people that come in to supply that land because they didn't have any indigenous grapes as well either because it's super hot. So they have grapes from other, probably the well-known grapes, Pinot Grigio, Cabs. So within that aspect, you have a lot of French people that come over there and they supply and buy and they pretty much lease that land, rent that land, and then from there, but who's doing the farming? It's Muhammad and the team that are doing the farming, that are
Yeah,
bottling, that are doing all of the laborious parts of it.
that's very
Got it.
insightful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow, thanks for sharing that nuance. Something our audience can definitely start to look more into it as I will myself. And it's even thinking about those different nuances, different cultures, the challenges, and even the meaning of culture. When we think about that identity, tradition, how creativity shape our work. So but what does culture mean to you personally? How do you see fly wines embodying or celebrating culture through the wines and stories you create?
Definitely. So Fly Wines is very inclusive. So we treat every culture and the approach of coming from a learning perspective and a respecting perspective. I love celebrating different cultures, learning about those different cultures, and creating a very inclusive community of where everyone is accepted and appreciated. There's nothing wrong with appreciating different cultures. So that's what we come from that perspective of actually celebrating these different cultures and learning to learn more the curious aspect of it. And then appreciating. So, very much so, the approach of celebration and appreciation and wanting to learn more so people can feel included into the conversation and not excluded.
Love that. Inclusivity is very important. We see it as the cornerstone. We always talk about that's we champion it. We don't want to away from it. This is something that we really want to, you know, get familiar with, learn more about, as we mentioned, and so forth. So
Yes.
with that said, and you starting Fly Wine in the beginning, perhaps you didn't know as much, and maybe you still feel to some extent that way. But what were some of those challenges, or rather, what major milestones have you achieved since starting? Like, what traction or recognition are you
Yes.
proudest of, or customer feedback, even partnerships like
Yeah.
distributors and all these different things? Like, give us a sense of like how hard the work is, to do these things, as it
It
were.
is not easy. Luckily, I'm a person, once I become extremely curious about something, like I just couldn't get away from it. So I just wanted, even learning the aspect of starting, how do I start an importing and distribution company? Because that was a big, um, like as far as level as well too. So we didn't want to pay a lawyer tens of thousands of dollars. So I painstakingly went through it myself. Like I didn't even understand who TTB was. Like I didn't understand why the FDA had anything to do with wine and how I'm like, well, I guess it's food because it's grapes. So there's so many different processes that play in it. That was just for me, I presented it as a learning opportunity. And I realized that you don't come in from an aspect of knowing everything, but when you come to people in a way that says, I'm curious, I want to learn, why is this paperwork getting sent back to me again? Why didn't we get approved? People are more than happy to share with you so that you can expand your knowledge and overcome those hurdles. So I'm so very grateful for everyone along the way that would communicate with us and be like, "Hey, what am I doing wrong here? Oh no, take a step back. You forgot to check ABC box. Oh, okay. You know, I didn't know anything about the Alcohol Bureau Control. I didn't know anything about I'm like, it's a Tobacco Trade Bureau. Why do they have anything to do with wine? It's so many different aspects of it. So for me, coming from that curious and wanting to just learn and be open, and I will admit, I'm a person to where I do much better learning with hands-on experience. So throwing me in the fire just kind of just gets me, okay, I can figure it out. Not saying I'm not going to make mistakes or face hurdles, but just figuring it out. And we're talking about like what are the wins? Oh my gosh. I'm realizing that we've been in the business for 2 years and there have been so many different wins along the way to where we've celebrated, whether it was getting our first tasting boxes out, then from getting our first imports in, getting our license approved, just the basic aspect of that, getting excited about something that you paid almost 4 grand for. But just, I guess we got it done. So yeah, there's so many different wins along the way. So it's hard just to
Awesome.
pinpoint one particular win, but say that we've taken the approach to where we've celebrated every win along the way. And I think a main thing about the way I'm building the company that works for my personality in general. I think a lot of people obsess about the full outcome and how it's supposed to look, and I'm the type, I just focus on whatever step is in front of me. Let's take it one step at a time and celebrate the win of that, getting past that hurdle of that step. Okay, great. Paperwork got approved. Yes. Okay, great. It's on. They picked the wine up. Yes, this is exciting. Oh, we have the company picking up the wine. Great. The wine is at the warehouse. This is awesome. So just celebrating those little steps, I think, is the biggest thing. So you don't become overwhelmed or discouraged. A lot of people are easily discouraged when they face a hurdle. And again, it's been 2 years. So even things that I probably would stress about 2 years ago, I do not stress about now. I'm just
Hmm.
kind of like, it's a hurdle. We're gonna figure it. I'm like, I cannot focus. I was telling someone the other day, I'm like, I'm not gonna spend any time focusing on why a certain thing happened. I'm just gonna focus on the solution. And if it's 10 o'clock at night and that's not gonna happen, we're not gonna be able to face this to tomorrow or find a solution to tomorrow. Let's find something in the meantime and go to sleep. I like that. I'm sleeping comfortably at night. I'm not gonna go stressed out because there's nothing that I'm gonna be able to accomplish in a stressed out state.
That frame. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Stefan. Andrew, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I would actually go with just a couple of questions here because I think what you mentioned around wellness is so important for founders. That's something that at Inflect as founders, now that we're our 7 years in for our companies and so forth, it's become something that you learn. I think in the beginning, like you mentioned, there's this founder energy that's there where it prompts you to almost like keep working and burn out. But that what you mentioned is being able to be understanding your body, understanding that no, we need to go to sleep. We need to have that resilience that's there. Love to understand like how as a founder do you take care of yourself and dedicate time for your wellness and ensure that you have that resilience and productivity.
Yeah, I think I was just like a lot of people in the beginning. You run off of adrenaline. You're excited, and that adrenaline can only last for so long before the burnout happens. And that's nothing wrong with getting excited or maximizing that adrenaline. But I think if that adrenaline is not backed by some type of balance, that's where the burnout happens. So celebrate that adrenaline. Okay, great. But then taking moments to be like, let me just try to calm myself from this adrenaline and not trying to max it out, which leads directly into burnout. And I experienced that as well as I'm pretty sure a lot of other founders coming in. So what I've learned to do is to balance, is to take those days when I don't have anything in the morning on my calendar. Oh, I'm maximizing this. Okay, great. If there's not anything urgent that maybe I missed that needs to get done and faced, I'm taking a moment to meditate, to breathe, to read, to journal, to enjoy, to have a cup of coffee. Because again, those little moments are just, yes, they're moments, but enjoy those happy and peaceful moments because you know things are going to happen and come up. They're going to be hurdles. But I think a lot of founders try to avoid all those hurdles. And I think that is probably the biggest and fastest way to where you're gonna get a really big awakening to where those hurdles will come.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about them. Like it's not, oh yes, you can try to do everything as you can, but I guarantee you that something's just gonna come out of left field and you're gonna be like, you did everything to avoid it and it still happened. So
I woke up this morning and had to take a nap, let me tell you.
correct. So it's just learning to enjoy those moments are the biggest things as well. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I guess for me, my closing thought would be around the idea of if if you had to break one unspoken rule in the wine industry to build the future you envision, what would it be?
So say that one more time for me.
Yeah, if you had to break one unspoken rule in the wine industry, what would it be?
One unspoken rule, I would say that wine has to be approached from a snobbish type of aspect or way. Don't get me wrong, there are certain rules to where I think are necessary to maximize and appreciate wine to the way the certain glassware that you use. I get it. I'm not drinking wine out of a red cup. Like it's just not my thing. I'm just like, well, give me something else. I don't want the wine because I'm not going to experience it the way it should be experienced. But I think that whole snobbish aspect of it, or wine is such a gate kept type of thing. You can approach and learn wine. I mean, I myself, within the past years, I'm a sommelier. So even with Giuliano, he's a high level higher than me, of course, a couple level higher than me. But at the same time, just taking and approaching it and appreciating wine, I think is the biggest thing. But taking that snobbish aspect away from it and making wine more easily approachable to people is a big thing that will help enhance, and you realize in wine, your senses. It's not just about, oh, wine. It's the fact of you learning how to really experience something through your nose, through your taste buds. It's going to help every aspect of your life because you're honing in on those senses.
I love that. And you talk about cultivating something, right? And like you
Yes.
said, getting that whole experience,
Hmm.
but without that snobbish, it must be this way, that way. But no, yes, I'm certainly not using a red cup. We can all agree
Yeah.
on that.
Just give me something at that point. Just give me something. Give me a mixed drink or something. Just don't insult me. And I'm not. And one thing I'm definitely not doing. I'm not drinking two butt chuck. I can't. It's full of arsenic. It's just gonna be a hangover city. I'm not. I just give me a cocktail or something else.
Love it. Love it.
Oh, finally, what I would mention here, Stephanie, is I'd love for you to tell the audience about Fly Wines, like in terms of what is next and how do we support you, where can we find you, and what is an ask you'd like to make. Yeah.
Yeah, so how you can find us to support us, you can follow us on Instagram or tick any of the social media handles at Fly Wines WINES .club CLUB, like you're going to the club. We have a lot of exciting things happening this year. It's kind of secret at the moment. So I will say definitely keep following us on those socials. If you do feel inclined, you want to figure out what type of wines we have, definitely go over to our website, sign up for our wine club, or purchase a tasting box. And that's Fly, FLY, Wines, WINES .club CLUB. Again, it's not the .com, it's the .club, like you're dancing at the club. But yes, be sure to definitely follow us and watch this space because we have some exciting things happening in Q4 of this year.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining us for this conversation, Culture X, and we'll be sure to go to flywines.club as well, so we can get our tasting box, and we'll follow up with a review on that too.
Perfect.
So thank you.
Thank you so much and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for joining us. And for everybody watching, I want you to please go ahead and support Stephanie, flywines.club. Follow, check out the website, bookmark it, make your purchases. Holiday season's coming up. Go ahead and get those tasting boxes down. Buy some gifts for people because, like she mentioned, it's changing the conversation around wine, and she's bringing you all these incredible things that have been gate kept, from the market, from the people. But you want to follow Stephanie and Fly Wines to find them.
Yes.
Awesome.